welcome you on this special presentation here on Mulberry Telecommunications. We're putting together a series of videos to talk about our products and features here at Mulberry and some of the latest offerings in the world of technology. Today, I've brought along our IT director here. His name is Jewell. I'm Shawn Walker, by the way. And we are going to be talking about one of our services that we've recently rolled out. It's been quite successful so far, and it is called Worry-Free Wi-Fi, or in the industry, better known as Managed Wi-Fi. And, to get started, I guess, Aaron, let's talk about first what Wi-Fi is. So if you'd explain what Wi-Fi is to our viewers.
Sure. Most people think Wi-Fi is synonymous with internet, and that's just not the case. Wi-Fi is a technology that uses radio signals to transmit data to their client devices. And the benefit of that is so they don't use physical connections anymore.
So that kind of benefits those with tablets, phones, things of that nature to access the internet on those devices.
Absolutely. And nowadays, that's 99% of every device has no Ethernet port. Cell phones, any new laptops probably don't have any cables or Ethernet cables in them whatsoever.
Okay, so now that we've talked about Wi-Fi, what about some of the things that can go wrong with it? Obviously, it's not a foolproof system. It's transmitting things wirelessly, so it can take on interference, stuff like that. What are some of those examples?
Exactly. Like I explained, some of the distance is a huge factor. Another one would be building materials. So we commonly get brick houses, older houses, double pane glass will just suck up RF signals, radio waves, and aka your Wi-Fi, and it won't work anymore. We've had cases where you're literally not even 50 feet away from the router, and you can't even connect to the wireless access point or the router at all whatsoever. That's a big one. Another big issue is interference, and we get this one more and more. As more devices talk wirelessly, more and more of them cause problems. And a big one would be like Bluetooth speakers and surround sound by your TV. If these devices are too close to your router, it can actually cause quite a bit of interference. And we've seen as much as 30 to 50% of all wireless traffic be interference and not work at all, just simply due to the close proximity to these devices. Another one we see often is microwaves. Believe it or not, having your microwave too close to your router will cause the signal to get jammed as well. We've seen it 70-80% interference just from a microwave. We had a customer who had problems. Their Wi-Fi would go off in the middle of watching something and they would buffer. And it turns out after sending some guys there and looking at it a little bit closer with our managed Wi-Fi, we found that whenever they would defrost or microwave something around dinner time, it would actually completely kill them out like clockwork. Around 6 to 7 o'clock every day, it would cause problems. So that's another huge one. Baby monitors, cordless phones, and believe it or not, when you have bad electrical wiring, fluorescent light bulbs, have you seen those long tube ones? I don't remember what called exactly, but when they flicker, that causes a ton of RF interference, and that will also cause your Wi-Fi to pretty much stop entirely.
So with that, we're offering a managed Wi-Fi service. What does that mean? Would we say we're going to manage your Wi-Fi for you?
What it means to manage it would be we have our router there, and we have the tools and expertise to actually troubleshoot this remotely. So we can look into these RF environments and find if there's interference, if it happens certain time of day, if there's too many devices connected, is there an older device that's causing problems connected. Having managed Wi-Fi means that we can come in and look at this remotely without having to roll a truck. And it ultimately allows us to solve these problems quicker and more accurately than we've ever have.
So that we can basically get an inside look. That helps the customer in a couple ways. We can diagnose exactly what's causing the trouble, correct?
Exactly.
And it helps us too because you just said we don't have to roll a truck, but it saves the end user fees, correct? So they're not paying service calls and things of that nature by having this service.
Absolutely. When you have managed Wi-Fi, some of the things we do is if you take this service, we will include truck rolls that are pertaining to your wireless there for free for it. If we can't solve it remotely, we can still send a truck if we have to, but you're not going to get charged for it. That's part of the service. The majority of problems we're able to solve remotely, but this is a big example. That's a big example of a pro. You don't have to pay truck rolls anymore. It's a huge one.
So for the people at home, just to clarify, what we're saying is, or what you're saying is, if you take our router, we have the ability to look inside that router, see what the network is doing, what devices are connected to it, how they're behaving. If someone buys just a Netgear router off the shelf, we do not have that capability, correct?
Correct. And that is what we've seen a lot of times. That's kind of led us to get into this market was customers would bring their own routers. They would buy maybe a cheap one, or maybe they have one of the first generations ones, hook it into our devices and our internet connection and have problems. And again, like I said at the beginning, the Wi-Fi and internet were synonymous. So they have a bad wireless experience, they'd assume it's the internet bad. So regardless if we had fiber or not, some customers would have issues. And working with it, we found that the vast majority of them were just simply Wi-Fi problems.
Give me an example of how a misbehaving device can affect somebody's wireless internet.
Sure. A good example, I'd explain a little bit. Wi-Fi works off time slots. So everybody has, say in a second, there's 4 of us, everyone will have an equal part, a quarter of that second to talk. A misbehaving device may take more of that time or more time slots or airtime to talk. And that's a very common problem. If you get devices that are a little bit too far away or aren't acting properly, they'll actually spend more time. And I've seen upwards of 70 or 80%. In one cycle, a single device is taking 80% of the bandwidth or time to talk. So all your other devices would have a really bad signal. And what's ironic is the device that's causing the problem probably isn't having a problem. It's almost always the other devices that cause it.
It's like the bully in the schoolyard.
Yeah.
Just picking on the network.
It kind of really is. Being greedy, taking everything.
I know that you helped me when I first hooked up the managed Wi-Fi. My daughter had an old iPad that was doing that. It was misbehaving. It was taking all the bandwidth. We were seeing slow to non-existent internet on the rest of our devices, and you were just able to look in the network, kick that device off the network, everything restored. It's pretty awesome.
Exactly, Shawn, and that's a good point. The Wi-Fi cards inside of your devices, like your phones and laptops, have a shelf life to them. The older the devices use legacy and old cards, and how that works is it takes more and more time, and they're slower than the other ones. So in your case, Shawn, yes, you had a Generation 1 iPad upstairs, and it was causing problems for your whole house. And not until installing one of our routers and being able to look at it, we're able to diagnose it. And in this case, tell you, you might not want to use this thing. It's actually causing everything else to fail.
That was music to my daughter's ears because she was able to get a new iPad out of that deal,
I bet.
which happens. It's going to do it for our first segment. When we come back, we're going to talk about these 2 devices here, a little more about the managed Wi-Fi and the router, these mesh units and what they do, and some of the other benefits and features of managed Wi-Fi. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
There is something for everyone to love at Mulberry Pizza King. We have fresh salads, hot sandwiches, frozen treats, and fountain drinks. And of course, pizza! Always made to order and cooked in our ovens until your pizza is fit for a king. So come see why we've been a Mulberry tradition since 1974. Dine in at 137 South Glick Street in Mulberry or call 765-296-2344 to place a carry-out order.
Welcome back here on this special presentation on Mulberry Telecommunications. Shawn Walker. Joining me is our IT director, Jewell. Aaron, in the first segment, we talked about what Wi-Fi is, what managed Wi-Fi is. Let's talk a little bit more about maybe these 2 devices. Obviously, the tall one here on the left, that is one of our routers that would be a part of this managed Wi-Fi. What about this little guy here? What would we use this for?
Sure, that would be a mesh extender. So as I talked previously, these routers don't extend their wireless indefinitely. They do fall off. And that's where these mesh extenders come in handy. When we go on site, we can do a site survey and determine if we need mesh extender, or maybe you want to have it out in a garage. And we're able to strategically place these to extend your wireless experience a little bit further.
Now, are these devices, do they work wirelessly or wired or both?
Either or. They can extend the network via wireless backhaul, or you can run, if there's an Ethernet run already in the house, can be plugged in with the Ethernet cable in the back.
That's very cool. I know that at Mulberry we've picked up some new units. They're called Air Scouts, and those Air Scouts allow us to do what in someone's home?
Site survey, and what that kind of means is these Air Scouts are a router and mesh pucks, and these pucks will be placed kind of where your big spots are. So your smart TV, maybe your kid's gaming system, and it will find the best place to put a router. So we set these up, we run some tests, we find the best location with the best coverage in your house and try to put our routers when we're on site there. And it will determine if we need to run any meshes or not.
So it basically does a heat map of the home
Correct.
and shows you what optimal performance would be like, and
Yep.
where
Shows you
where
dead
things should be.
zones. If you have any issues in the walls or anything, like I talked about, it will determine those, and so we can run cables to get around them or work around them. We'll be able to find that when we're on site.
Other than one of the biggest attributes of these, which is being able to dial in, look at the network, diagnose problems, what are some of the other benefits and features of that wireless router? As an example, maybe timers.
Sure. I got a couple calls where they want to spend time with the family, and the easiest way to do that, unfortunately, nowadays is turn the internet off, because I get your kids to come from downstairs. Had that request more than once, so we could show you how to set it up, or we could set it up remotely, and you can just give us a call, and I'll be more than happy to do that.
So, as you were saying there, I could need that at my house, basically.
Absolutely.
It's just kids are constantly on Snapchat, Facebook, FaceTime. So we can literally control when they use it and make them go outside and be more active,
You could try.
not just be stuck on that device all day long.
Absolutely.
What about one of the big ones for me is free router replacement. This is probably another huge benefit to our customer. So they pay for this service, which we'll get into the fees here in just a little bit, but they pay for this managed Wi-Fi service. They get this router in, and then free router replacement means what?
So built into the cost, we will we kind of plan it for if you have any damage or if the router goes bad, because they do. We will replace it for free as long as you're under contract. So any misbehaving or damaged router, we will come out on site and actually replace it for free.
That's awesome. So in essence, the customer pays for our router, pays the fees associated with that router to lease it, and may never have to buy another router again.
Exactly.
As long as they're paying the fees for us. That's pretty cool. What about lightning? I know that's something that a lot of people don't warranty or cover. Is lightning covered under our managed Wi-Fi agreements?
Yes, if you take a lightning hit and we lose our router there, we'll still replace it.
That's all. Anything else that you can think of with these devices under the benefits and features that I'm failing to ask you about?
Big one is port forwarding.
Okay.
So we get a lot of people who maybe want to watch their cameras from their phone, or gamers who want to open up their NAT settings. We can do that remotely, or we can show them how to do that. That's another big one we get.
Now, this is just an example of one of the routers, but we also have a Giga Max and a Giga Blast. Can you talk about those two and maybe some of the differences there?
Sure. The new generation of Wi-Fi is out, and it's kind of dubbed Wi-Fi 6. You may or may not have seen talk in the news about it. But our new routers are able to talk that technology. They're also able to talk some of IoT stuff, so like Philips Hue light bulbs and things like that. They're able to communicate with as well.
So really get into some of that smart home technology.
Yeah, that'd be for another time.
I know the Giga Blast at home. I've been playing around with that one a little bit. It's got Alexa built in. Kind of cool.
Yep.
There's some fun things you can do with Alexa. She'll rap if you want her to. That's going to do it for this segment. When we come back, we're going to talk about what the customer can expect during install and maybe some of the prices and things associated with our managed Wi-Fi. You're watching this show here on Mulberry Telecommunications. We welcome you back here on Mulberry Telecommunications. It's our final segment talking managed Wi-Fi, worry-free Wi-Fi as we have it labeled on our website. Aaron, for those that want this service, somebody wants to sign up, what's their steps? What do they do?
Well, first thing you can do is you can check out more info on our website, www.mintel.net, or give us a call at 296-2885 and be able to talk to our representatives and give you more info and get you on the calendar to get scheduled.
And so all the costs and everything associated with that are on our website. So for all of our current pricing information, that's where you're going to want to go. As Aaron said a minute ago, is head over to mintel.net for that information about managed Wi-Fi. There's also some other things that maybe we didn't cover in this show, but more information there for those that want to dig a little deeper into what this service is and what they can expect. So now that I'm all signed up per se, I've called in, I've said I wanted this service, what can I expect, at my install when the guys come out?
Sure. So you call the front, we'll get you on the calendar. Our technicians will go out on site. They can do a site survey to figure out where the best router is, like I talked about, where to put it. And then our guys will set up the router. They'll ask you what would you like the SSID or the network I name and the password to be. And then we'll set it up, make sure your devices get connected, make sure you had coverage, and that'll be about it.
And then once they get rolling, if they run into trouble and say they start noticing they're having slow or intermittent internet issues, what are their next steps? What should they do?
If you're experiencing any problems, please give us a call at 296-9900, and we'll be able to diagnose and work through those problems with you.
And to be clear, we do have 24-hour technical support, but the managed Wi-Fi piece of that is going to be during normal business hours,
Correct.
which is 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. The after-hours technicians are not going to be able to see inside the router, which is what
Correct.
the capabilities we're going to have here on site. So just to clarify there at home, just making sure it's not 24/7 support as far as the managed service is concerned, but we will get you taken care of during normal business hours, Monday through Friday. Aaron, I appreciate you coming on today and talking managed Wi-Fi and worry-free Wi-Fi for us. I'm excited about this service personally because I've gotten to deploy it at home. I've seen it work. The example we gave earlier was a huge benefit. I think I even said it at our annual meeting this year. Is I talked about that situation, and for most people, if they don't have our router and they call in, all we can tell them is it's something within their network. It could be their router causing problems. It could be a device. We don't know. And so they go buy a router, they come back, they plug it in, they're in the same scenario. And then they say, well, it's your internet. Your internet's messed up. And that's not always the case.
Correct.
Awesome. All right. So there you got it. Go out, hit us up on our website, sign up for worry-free Wi-Fi. You're going to love it. I promise. Stay tuned. Next time we'll come back. We'll feature and bring on some more of our products and services here on Mulberry Telecommunications. For Aaron Jewell, I'm Shawn Walker. Thanks for watching.